Okay, hi church. We're really excited about our Heart for the House Sunday. It's a special day in September. It's the first Sunday in September because it represents spring, and it always speaks about new things, new life, new beginning. And so this is a Sunday where we take up an over and above our tithe offering, really for the physical house, but not necessarily even for the physical house. It's also to build, to expand, to enlarge. Our Geba campus came out of it.
If I had to sum up the Bible, I would say it is to love God and to love people. And Heart for the House, for me, is to have a heart for God, to have a heart for people, and to have a heart especially for the lost people.
The reason why we do Heart for the House and why we began it is really, it has a scriptural base to it. And so we can see there that all the way through the Old Testament, the building of the temple, the building of the house of God, always required a separate offering. And it came with people who had a willing heart, who'd been made prepared. And so when we look at Moses' tabernacle, we look at King David, and we look at Solomon's temple, and even in the New Testament, it takes a different dynamic, but that's really what it's about. It's about us being prepared to put God at the center. And it's an indication of where He is in our lives and whether He is center of our heart. We want to expand His kingdom. And the main reason is really because God has given us a mandate. He's given us a mandate and He's given us a commandment to go and make sure that every lost person that we can possibly reach will come into His kingdom. That's our mandate. Changing lives, changing the world through the transforming power of Jesus Christ. And so if we don't expand, if we don't enlarge, if we don't stretch, we can only ever stay small, and we're not fulfilling His mandate.
Change and expansion is very important in life. And I know the older I get, the less I like change, but I know it is important. And I'm so reminded of when God asked us to start Kloof Harvest in our home with about a dozen people. That was a big step for us. We don't know how God did it, but He did. He provided for us, and we built this church. But now it's time to expand again, church. We have to. We did it at Geba, we did it with Nganiami. Many thought we were mad. I've told you that many times. Some even left the church. But we have to trust God and step out and expand. And we're wanting to do that again. The Maritzburg plant has been on our heart for years. It's not as if we've just come up with this. We're not sure exactly when God is going to ask us to step out and go to Maritzburg. And we're waiting for God to put it together and tell us who the right people are. It's always uncomfortable. Quite honestly, church, we have had an uncomfortable year this year. God has asked us to do many things, and we know there are changes happening. But we know God wants us to change. He wants us to expand His kingdom. We just have to be obedient and listen to Him and do it when He tells us to do it.
No, sometimes, when we speak about offerings over and above our tithes, it can be really difficult for people to grasp that. We just have to take encouragement from the Word. And Paul writes, and he says both in Philippians and in 2 Corinthians, he says, that giving and generosity never made anybody poorer. And he says, what explains this generosity is that they had first given themselves unreservedly to God. And again, it speaks about our hearts, and we put God center, we put Him first in everything that we do. And he says the other giving just simply flowed out of that. And if we're going to do another plant, it's not just financial resources, but it's human resources. We have to have hearts that have been made willing and prepared to sacrifice to see lost people come in. And that's why we can't stay. We can never be stagnant, because if we're stagnant, we're going backwards.
So church, we are really excited for the 2nd of September, which is our Heart for the House Day. We're really trusting that you're going to put aside that day to be part of the celebration. We're going to have a real fun day, not only here in church, but afterwards as well. We've organized a fantastic day of unity where we can get together as a community and really enjoy each other's company.
And so my question to all of you is that will you be counted as well? Will you write yourself into history as being someone who financed the salvation of the earth? Will you be someone who will use your sphere of influence in giving and establishing His kingdom?
And as Vonnie has reminded us, faith is spelled R-I-S-K. It's risk. And we have to take a risk if we want to expand and if we want to grow God's kingdom.